out there and create some more leaders. Thank you.
Hopefully we'll see some of you younger guys that'll be able to come up here as well and get this wonderful medal. Thank you.
Welcome back to the Small College Basketball Podcast, celebrating the players, the programs, the coaches, and the history of small college basketball. Once again, we would like to thank our primary sponsor, Visit Central Florida, for their support of the podcast, their support of the Small College Basketball Hall of Fame Classic. And if you haven't been to Central Florida yet, go now. Visit centralflorida.com and plan your destination and your vacation to Central Florida. Welcome back. Happy Easter. Happy spring break. Happy continued March Madness to everyone celebrating the championships, celebrating the upsets. We are excited today to have with us Coach Brooks Miller, head coach of the Trine University Thunder, 2024 NCAA Division III men's basketball national champions. Coach, thanks for being here. And before we get started with you, we do want to congratulate the 2024 National Christian College Athletic Association national champions, Cedarville University. Congratulations to Coach Pat Estep. We'll have him on the podcast later next week. And again, by this time next week, we'll also have an NAIA national champion. And later today, we will close the book on another terrific season of small college basketball when we crown an NCAA Division II men's basketball national champion. So a lot going on here in the last week of the season. Obviously, we're excited to have Coach Miller with us. And Coach, I want to celebrate your team, want to celebrate the Thunder. So congratulations to you and the Trine University on your 2024 NCAA Division III national championship. How's it going?
Well, it's been a pretty crazy week. I think, we woke up Sunday after winning, and it wasn't that much different than after winning a regular Saturday game. You have the same type of euphoric feeling. And, I'm walking around the house with my chest puffed out, and my wife will remind me, hey, we still got to unload the dishwasher, get the garbage taken care of, that type of stuff. But, when Monday hit, I didn't really know what to expect. And you have that feeling that you'd have on any other Monday. Okay, what do we got to do next? Where are we at in recruiting? What do the guys need, academically? Or, do we need to work on finding some guys some jobs here this off season? What's next? And I think that kind of stayed the same. And we had a great celebration on Tuesday. Our administration, athletic department, we had probably 200 or 300 people from the community come out. A lot of the students were on spring break. When I say students, I mean the elementary students. They were there. We signed a lot of autographs and really had a great time. But I think it's, there's quite an enjoyment to be had. I don't know if it's all set in yet. Really enjoy doing stuff like this with you to talk about the players and their accomplishments and to promote the program. But I think, as a coach, you can't help but think, okay, what do we got to do to get back there? And that's kind of where we've been. We had an elite camp today. On Monday, we had 12 people signed up for it, our prospect camp, so to speak. And by today, we had 65, which was a record. So, so we're back into the swing of things, but, still enjoying the fact that we kind of reap the rewards of all of our hard work this season.
And with all the hard work yet to come, no one can take that away from you or your players. I mean, that's there forever.
Yeah, the way this team came together, we added 2 transfers this year from Albion College, who I would say if we had a rival in the MIAA, it would be Albion. We won the championship in 2019, and they won it, I think, in 2020. And Cortez Garland was a big part of that team that we competed against. His brother Fred has been over there. So adding those 2 guys to the team this year, adding Drew Moore as a transfer who played at Olivet, which was in the MIAA for 2 years, but was actually out of school last year. watching these guys come together, to see the guys that you competed against, the things we learned from them and the things I'm sure they learned from us, and to bring that. I just thought it was a unique educational experience for our program and our team, guys that had to learn different roles. So it was quite the process, and to see it, we started 22-1. And the one game we lost, we really weren't at full strength. We probably lost we didn't have our most dominant player, which is Emmanuel Magnanglo, who's I think he was third or fourth in the country in blocks, and top 10 in steals. So he's a great defensive presence for us. And then we had a stretch there at the end where we lost 3 out of 5 games, one on the road to Olivet, who I think, I don't know how many games they won this year. I think they may have won 5. We really struggled. They made a lot of shots. And then we lost 2 overtime games at home to really great programs. Kelvin, who we shared the conference championship with, and then Hope, who finished, ended up going to the round of 32. Calvin went to the Elite 8. So we had opportunities there, but we had to look in the mirror and say, okay, what do we got to do? Are we just happy to be in the NCAA tournament, or are we going to make a push in this thing and figure out what we got to do to get better? And to see them accept that challenge, and then to just take one day at a time, was really a cool thing.
You mentioned bringing in multiple transfers and then blending them with your returners. We're in a different world right now with college basketball. What was your approach throughout the season, blending them together to get the peak at the right time?
We talked about respect all year. We did a lot of different things. We read a book collectively this year called Tribal Leadership, and every guy on our team had to take one chapter and report it back to the group, because as much as we'd like to think that if we give these guys a book to read, they're going to read it, it ain't going to happen. So we would have them report on the chapter. And Cortez, after taking a year off and being an two-time all-conference player at Albion, he took chapter 2 and eagerly took chapter 2 early in October. And I can't tell you the look on these guys' faces when he was reporting back to all the different stages of leadership and where we wanted to go and how we could get there. He had a 20-minute presentation for our team, and the way they were just locked into every word he was saying was really remarkable. I knew right then and there we had a chance to really do something special. Saying you can win a national championship, there's just so many things that got to go right to win a national championship. But I knew we would be one of the top 10 teams in the country after watching that. And that he set the tone there, but everything we did moving forward was at a high level. Everybody had to keep up with each other because it was so competitive in that locker room for playing time. They all had something to prove to one another. So we felt as a staff, the thing that we could focus on more than anything else is continue to find reasons why we respect each other. Why are we respecting the journey that we're on? And so throughout the year, we would always go back to that book and talk about, okay, like the one day we came in from practice, I just felt like we were kind of stale and didn't have quite the energy. This would have been probably mid-January. And I said, all right, everybody write down each other's name and one word next to them. Write something down about why you respect that individual and what they bring to the team in a positive way. And I thought it was just going to be a real simple conversation. Aiden, what do you think of Cortez? Cortez is a great leader. He comes to work every day, this, and that. Well, that's how it started. And then it turned into an absolute conversation with this team where the coaches were not even involved. We're sitting in the back of the room, just listening to these guys talk about each other and what they're bringing to the group, what they're learning from each other. And this team is very talented. We were very fast. We were physical. We were somewhat skilled. I'd say I don't think we were the most skilled team, but the way they came together, the way they played together, we had 5 all-conference players and we led the league in assists. The way we played in the Final Four, the semifinal, and the national championship game, where everybody was really on the same page, both offensively and defensively. It was just really a unique experience. And I've said this a couple different times, but as a dad now, you have a different perspective. I have a 10-year-old son and a 6-year-old daughter. And the way you communicate with your players is different now than it was before I was in this situation. The way I listen to them, the way that we respond to the good and the positive and the negative things we need to improve on has really changed. And it was much more of a partnership. And our staff, Ed Bentley, who was a former head coach, John Weissong, a former head coach, Kyle Lindsay, who went to an NCAA tournament with Adrian, the first one they've ever went to, was here on our staff as an assistant, Isaac Anderson. We were way more assistants this year to them. I thought we did if I said we did anything different, it was the team was way more involved in decision making than we ever have been. And we just felt like it was our job to guide them in the right direction and let these talented players just remind them, share the ball, attack the ball, go get the ball when in doubt. So the leadership we had with Cortez and Brent Cox, those two fifth-year guys, was really special.
Yeah, you mentioned your national championship game. You took on Hampden Sydney, defeated them 69-61. They were the top team in the country, and you guys were down 2 at half. Came out, outscored them by 10 in the second half. What was the difference in the locker room, transitioning first half to second half?
Well, the way we play, we run a motion offense. It's not a traditional motion offense. It really changes every year based on our personnel. And then defensively, we try to keep the ball out of the middle. I thought we had some great defensive possessions. They made some really tough shots the last 2 possessions of the first half. Otherwise, we would have been up at the half. But it's more like the running game in football. You got to continue to get the ball side to side on offense, continue to get the ball into the paint defensively. And a big goal of our offensively, and a big goal of ours defensively was to take away the 3-point attempts. And if we could do that, we felt like maybe we could frustrate them down the stretch and really kind of wear them down with our offense. And I thought if we just stayed the course, we would be really productive in that area. And the one adjustment we made, I think we talked about refusing ball screens in the second half. And we did that the first possession, and Cortez made a nice jump shot that got us going. But really, we just stayed the course. We really got the ball side to side. We chart every game, whether we get 3 sides, which would be 2 full reversals, paint touches on a possession, or a home run. A home run for us would be like a really great back screen off one pass that leads to a wide open jump shot. Home runs are uncontested jump shots, basically. And then we chart neithers, where we don't get paint touches or reversals. And we did a really good job that entire game getting reversals and paint touches. We score 72% of the time when the ball hits 3 sides and hits the paint. We score 64% of the time when the ball just hits the paint. And then we score 62% of the time if we just get reversals. The thing is, when we get the neithers, so we don't get paint touches and we don't get 3 sides, we score 17% of the time. So we went into the locker room and looked at those numbers, and I think we were 2 for 6 on neithers. So we felt really good about that. You got good players, you're going to get a few neithers, guys. Heat checks, whatever you call them. That's kind of part of it. So if we can ever, and I just felt like, hey, we're doing what we need to do here. At least this is who we are. If we can't win this way, we're not just going to make up a way here at halftime and beat a great team like Hampden Sydney. Let's just keep doing what we're doing. And I felt like we were able to do that. We got some great possessions in the second half, and I thought that helped our defense too.
And you took the lead going into the home stretch. You're up 3, 50-47 with about 4 minutes to go. You did make your free throws down the stretch, executed down the stretch. How long was that 4 minutes for you and your coaching staff?
Significant. We came out of that last media timeout, and I just remember, saying to the guys, look, I think we're going to need a big shot fake in this possession. A shot fake or a pass fake is going to give us an opportunity to win this game. And I think we came down and we made a couple of nice reversals and got a head fake and attacked the basket. And I think Cortez ended up getting fouled. But that last 4 minutes was tough. I think it was like that with almost every game, though. You feel like that. I will tell you, this offseason, I went and I listened to a coach named Kevin Vandestreet talk. Coach Vandestreet was a legendary coach in the MIAA. He won a national championship with Calvin College. And his teams that we competed against before he retired, I always felt like they got better and better at the end of the year when maybe our teams seemed to wear down a little bit. So I went to really pick his brain at the end of last year. And he told me, he said, Brooks, the amazing thing about college basketball is for 36 minutes, a game is played a certain way. And in the last 4 minutes, it's played entirely differently. So you got to have a plan in those last 4 minutes. Who do you want to have the ball where? And what situation do you think you guys are the most successful in? And this is something that all coaches really kind of know. But it really hit me to hear him verbalize it and then explain to me when he said, yeah, late in the game, we used to try to get Derek DeVries a double screen. No matter what, 2 guys would go double screen for Derek under 4 minutes, especially if we had the lead in a tight game. So all year long, we practiced playing, having possessions our 4-minute possessions. How do you win the game? And again, usually it still comes down to reversals, but there are some actions that we really wanted to hunt this year. And one was a ball screen for Cortez. So I thought we got 2 of those in the last 4 minutes to really make us feel good about having a chance to win that game. And we got some long rebounds that really kind of sealed the victory for us too.
Yeah, so obviously the national championship game, an incredible way to cap off your season, 6 wins in a row. I want to backtrack to the beginning of the tournament. You're an at-large bid prior to the event. What was the message to your team entering, as not a top seed, so to speak, in the national tournament? What's the message to your team?
Well, I think that we earned that at-large bid with our play early in the season in the non-conference. We had some great wins against Platteville. We beat Calvin and Hope on the road in our conference. So those were significant wins. And there was obviously a few others there along the line. But when we got in, it was, okay, are we happy to be here? Absolutely, we're happy to be here. I mean, we're not going to deny that fact. Yeah, we are happy to be in the NCAA tournament after not winning our conference tournament, which in Division III is damn near impossible, it feels like, percentage-wise. Yes. We were 22-4 last year and didn't get in. So we got in, we were happy that, but we made a commitment to each other that we were going to coach them harder than we coached them all year. I believe our exact words is I can't say the exact words. We don't care about your feelings here moving forward, nor should you care about ours. It is now time to push each other to the limit to get everything out of this experience that we can. And because of our situation with the roster throughout the year, there was some massaging going on. We consider ourselves truth tellers, both coaches and players. But, there were some things that we kind of had to live with at times to make sure the group stayed together. We thought was maybe for the betterment of the group at that time. But now once we're in the tournament, the gloves are off, guys. We had 2-hour practices, full contact practices, day before the game, get after each other type of stuff. Now throughout the season, but we held no punches back. There was no worried about somebody getting injured because we knew if we were focused on, we wanted cautiousness, we had no chance. We had to push our team and our staff, each other. We had to look at each other in the eye and figure out, hey, we got to do this better. So those 3 weeks were the hardest 3 weeks of practice. I think the most challenging 3 weeks verbally and the things we put on guys more than we had all year long. And because of our leadership and because of the equity I think we had and the trust we had with that group, we embraced it. And we made some changes to our lineup as well. We added Drew Moore he was coming off the bench for us. We knew we had to be fast. And all along, we knew Drew had to be a big part of our success if we were going to make a run. And I thought it was the perfect time to get him in there. And he went from probably playing 12 minutes a game, 13 minutes a game to 18 to 22. And I think he probably averaged double figures in scoring in the tournament. And in both those games in Fort Wayne, the semifinal and the final, he was a huge factor in our success.
And to get to the semifinal and then on to the national championship, you needed a buzzer beater in overtime from Cortez Garland against Wisconsin Platteville. Obviously beat them prior in the season. If anyone's seen the highlights on Twitter, your home court goes nuts. It was absolute pandemonium. But describe that moment for you and for your program.
Surprise you. Obviously, I thought we got outplayed there for about probably 30 minutes of the game. There were some stretches we had in the first half, but we really, when we played them the first time in December, we were in control of the game start to finish. I think we had as big a lead as 25 in that game. So they had a significant mental advantage over us coming into this. And I know what a great coach Carr is. I've watched his teams. I've studied those teams from Wisconsin, and they made some really great adjustments in that game to prepare for our defense and different things that they were able to do, especially on a one-day prep. And when they had that lead, it was to a point where our program was, we had to go back to our guts and our foundation of who we think we are. And it's, you tell your team, hey, one play at a time, one possession at a time. And I was extremely proud of our young men for really doing that. We just looked at what do we need to do each and every possession to get ourselves a chance to win. And we ended up missing a free throw the way we needed to miss a free throw, coming up with it and being aggressive, and got a foul called and then made both free throws to get into overtime, which set up Cortez's big shot. And at that time when Cortez hit the shot, I am absolutely euphoric in my own mind. I stayed I stayed pretty poised on the bench after he hit it. I was just so excited because I knew what it meant. But my heart eventually felt for Jeff and his players because they played so well. Platteville did. And I just, I almost wanted to hug him going through the line. And I know that's probably not proper coach etiquette, but, I was really happy for us. And I think the game was well played on both ends. There was a lot of great plays and a lot of really good playmakers in that game. But I was excited for our guys, and I knew what that meant moving forward, playing in Fort Wayne, playing in the Final Four in Fort Wayne. But I did feel for those Platteville kids and their coaching staff because I know how hard they worked to put themselves in position to win a game. But obviously, I was happy with the result.
Yeah, and then the national championship game, you get 22 points from Darius Garland. Is named most outstanding player. As a senior, what's he meant to your program?
Well, he is an absolute alpha male. And what I mean by that, I think it's a very powerful thing. And I don't think we can forget, as coaches, I think our job is to help cultivate strong young men into being leaders. And that's exactly what he is. He's very compassionate. He works very competently. He's very good at what he does. And I think that combination with his leadership ability is really unique. And he brought that to us. And the fact that he handles the ball and makes the decisions. He really took his time all year long. Like I said, Brent Cox had won 102 games now officially in a Trine uniform, was a two-time first-team all-conference player. Emmanuel McNanglo has been an all-conference player, defensive player of the year in our conference as a freshman. We had 3 or 4 other guys that played major minutes on a 22-4 team. And Cortez really bided his time to when he was really going to take control of the group, especially from an offensive standpoint. We're playing Kalamazoo in our first conference game. He takes 2 shots. And throughout the year, he's kind of letting guys get involved and let the game come to him. But once we hit our conference tournament, he said, "This is my time. The ball is in my hands. I'm going to be in control of our fate." And defensively, he is a significant contributor for being. We list him at 6 foot. He's probably 145 pounds, maybe closer to 5'10". He plays 6'7". 250. He plays really big for his position, which really helped us be effective at that end. So having him and bringing that really alpha decision maker a part of the group that the guys trusted, and they knew how hard he worked. And he was in the workforce. He took last year off. He was down in Texas, and he called me. He said, "Hey, coach, you still got a spot for me." This is like August 20th. Classes start on the 23rd. You betcha, buddy. He hopped in a U-Haul with his girlfriend, drove up here overnight. We got him a place to stay. And, to me, that's coaching, is finding a way to, to get a guy like that here and having him trust in the situation in the program. But he was everything to us. I mean, if you watch those free throws down the stretch, there was no doubt in my mind he was going to make those, especially in the championship game.
Yeah, championship game, got a great performance from him. Also got great minutes from Drew Moore and Smiley, Nate Tucker. So talk about your depth. Talk about the guys that you've mentioned a little bit already, just how that played into winning the national championship.
Well, Aiden Smiley was a junior for us this year, and he is one of, in all the sports I've ever played. I was a football player in high school, basketball, baseball. I played all 3. I'd love to coach football. I kind of got wrapped up in basketball. It's kind of like the mafia. Once you get in, it's really hard to get out. Aiden, nobody produces or contributes more to winning without scoring a basket than Aiden Smiley. He does so many incredible things on the floor. He guards the other team's 5-man. So when they set ball screens, he can switch on to them, and which it leaves Emmanuel on the backside to block shots and make plays coming from the help side. He does the offensive rebounding. He comes up with basketballs you wouldn't believe. And the shots he can make or has made, I can't tell you how many times. Oh, this year I can tell you like 6. They said, "Oh, Smiley with a prayer to win the game." Eventually, they're not prayers. The guy must be pretty regular at church if the ball keeps going in every time he throws one up late. So he's really significant. Nate Tucker has worked really, really hard, and he really carried us in that first half. It's 19-8 at the 8-minute mark in the first half with 8 minutes to go, and he came out of the huddle. I think he scored 7 straight for us. Had a block. Had 2 really big rebounds during that stretch, and we went on, I think, maybe a 13-0 run to take a 22-19 lead, whatever that may be, 15-0 run. Tucker was big in that, but he'd been big all year long. He's continuing to mature. So, and then we had a couple guys. We shortened the bench in the Final Four because we had the longer media timeout, so we were able to do that. But Grant Paul's a 6'3" wing that's been able to come in and really guard for us this year. And he hit a game-winning shot against Stevens Point. We didn't have Emmanuel then. He was out with his hand injury. Cortez drove late with us down one, I think 30 seconds to go. He kicked it to the wing, and Grant Paul hits one of his threes. He didn't make a whole lot this year, but he hit that one. But we had a lot of depth and a lot of size. Logan McKenzie was a sophomore that came off the bench for us and really could score the ball around the basket, which was significant. So we got a lot of minutes from people that the depth is everything. And I think what that does, it really helps your practices. Your practices are way more competitive because guys want to play. And then again, this year we moved 3 guys into the starting lineup there at the end, which took the place of 3 guys that were there last year. So those guys were competing all year long, and I think they made each other better.
Yeah, wise man once told me depth is overrated until you need it. So
Yeah.
there you go. There you go. Well, we've been able to talk about your program and your kids winning the national championship. What did that do for the community? How did it galvanize your university? What was the feeling like over the last couple of weeks, just for you and all the people you work with?
I think the most rewarding thing about this whole experience is the emails, the text messages, the people that have come up to me and said, I can't tell you how much fun my family and I have had following you guys this year. We're going to be number 1 in the country in attendance this year and overall attendance in Division III. We set the Division III record for the championship with over 4,500 people at the championship game last weekend. We beat Platteville basically because we fed off the energy of the crowd. They stayed with us the whole way. Nobody left early. Countless close games. We're in a tight game with Baldwin Wallace earlier this year, and they're hanging around. We just fed off them all year long. Our student section was tremendous. It's just been a really neat thing to be a part of. And anytime you do something for the first time, it's really special. And I told the guys this. I said, we talk about stage 5. Life is great. It's when you have a bigger effect on just basketball. It's bigger than winning. The elementary school kids that come out and sit underneath the basket and bring their families and wave the pool noodles back and forth. My son's probably the kingpin of that group. But it's just really cool that these kids look forward to being there each and every night. And, we have a platform as coaches, as players. It doesn't matter whether you're in high school, Division III or Division I, NAIA, whatever it may be. You have a unique platform. Depending on how many people you impact, that really doesn't have anything to do with it, but you can decide what that impact can be. And I've had a lot of people say to me, man, we just love how your team plays together, how you share the ball, how you communicate with each other, how your bench goes crazy when guys score. They celebrate in each other's success. And again, as a coach, those are the things that I think we really tried to lock into and remind the guys of. We film every practice. And I think one of the biggest clips we showed our guys this year was when Drew Moore was really struggling with playing time for reasons really, some of it's not out of his control. I mean, maybe mistakes on our part. We're watching practice and Logan McKenzie hits a layup in a transition situation, and Drew Moore's in the corner going nuts. He only gets the layup because Drew runs to the corner and stretches the defense out, and he's fist pumping the air. He gives Logan a chest bump. We took that one clip that day and we showed the team. We said, listen, this is what we got away from valuing. This was after we had the 3 losses, 3 of the 5 of the games we had there at the end. He's going to start for us, and he's going to play a big role for us because of this. We forgot to think about it. Coaches, players alike. This is what success is about. It's not the scoreboard. This type of stuff leads to the scoreboard. And to see the community and everybody recognize that, it's really a neat thing.
Well, terrific, Coach. I want to be respectful of your time. And again, congratulations on the national championship. This has been a lot of fun learning a little bit more about Trine University and the Thunder. Last question for you. We've talked about your players. You had a chance to mention your coaching staff, who obviously did a terrific job throughout the course of the season. But you also mentioned the impact you have as a coach and how important relationships are. For you, what's been the best moment? What was the best moment of the year off the court with your team? and I'm sorry, but we can't accept the national championship celebration, anything but that. But what's the best moment outside of basketball that you've had with your team?
I think I mentioned it a little bit earlier. Watching those guys present the chapters of the tribal leadership book to each other and how they use their own creativity, they use their own examples of things in their life where they had to get honest a little bit about some of the mistakes that they've made, some of the things they've learned from, the way they interacted with each other. That was really special. We were almost in tears as a staff a couple different times listening to our players address each other in the film room about the things Fred had to overcome to be here, the why he is here, how he felt so comfortable transferring here, and the people that made him feel comfortable. Ryan Preston, who started for us last year on a 22-4 team, his parents are Kel and Sandy. And when Fred got here, we're at our first tournament, and they went out of their way to greet Fred and Cortez and say, "We are so happy you're on our side now. Anything you guys need, we'll be here for you." And Ryan went from starting last year to really not playing hardly at all for us, but did have some key moments and really helped us in practice. His role definitely changed more than anybody's on our team. And he embraced that. So to see a guy like Ryan embrace new teammates that he knew were probably going to take his playing time, which really a lot of us as former players, as coaches, that's kind of your status symbol. But for Ryan to find another way to really contribute to our team and to see Fred and Cortez and Drew recognize that I think that's what's the most special to me, because again, the winning is important. We don't have the platform if we can't win as coaches. You have to figure out a way to win, but we are trying to develop young men, and we're trying to. What I believe in development is getting them to understand what leads to the success. What's really important. What are you going to remember? How can you change someone's life in a positive way? So I'm really proud of our staff for really encouraging that and teaching it, but they still have to make the choices. We can tell them everything. It's easy to tell guys stuff. I told him that he likes to go right, or I told him this. Well, what are we teaching them? So to see that played out with our maturity was really cool. It's really special and something I'll never forget.
That's awesome, Coach. I appreciate it. I like that. I like that thought too. What are you telling them versus what are you teaching them? That's a good point for coaches to take away from this. But all said and done, Coach Brooks Miller, head basketball coach at Trine University, 2024 men's basketball national champion, NCAA Division III. That's got a nice ring to it. They can't take that away from you. So we appreciate your time, Coach. Congratulations on a great season.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.